All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now, and my guest is Mike Pompeo. He is a member of the United States House of Representatives. He represents Kansas's 4th Congressional District. He's a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York, and of the Harvard Law School. And he has been a successful businessman as well as a lawyer, and is now a successive and full and active member of the House of Representatives. And Congressman, welcome to the program.
Good morning, sir. Great to be on the show.
Well, it's good to have you. Now, there's several things I'd like to talk to you about. One of them is the Energy Freedom and Economic Prosperity Act that you are sponsoring in the House of Representatives. And what it does is it ends subsidies, tax credits and other things like that for the production of energy. And I think that's a good thing, because right now, in my view, what we have is the government picking winners and losers with respect to the production of energy, and neglecting the marketplace, which is, I think, the best way to determine who shall win and who shall lose. Would that be a fair statement of your Energy Freedom and Economic Prosperity Act?
That's a very good summary of the legislation. I came here, I've only been in Congress 15 months now, and what I saw was we were here in Congress trying to figure out which was the great next American energy source, and it was a fool's errand. We've spent hundreds of billions of dollars over decades trying to prop up wind energy and solar energy and algae and all the others, and I don't know. One of those energy sources may ultimately work, but I know the taxpayers shouldn't be supporting it. So my bill is like all good tax reform, right? It gets rid of deductions and credits, gets rid of all the credits, every single energy tax credit in the code, and in exchange for that, lowers rates for everyone. It's the right model for tax reform. Frankly, it's exactly the opposite of the president's Buffett rule, which singles out a particular group, a particular class of people for punishment.
Yes, and not only the Buffett rule not live up to its advertising, it's actually going to cost money. The Wall Street Journal today says it'll cause a tax loss. But the central thing that I see is, you and I know, and anybody who's studied it knows, that the United States is the Saudi Arabia of coal. We have enormous amounts of oil that is recoverable by fracking, and tremendous, about a century's worth of natural gas. So why in the world are we expending money on windmills which are decimating our migratory bird population by chopping them into pieces?
It's incomprehensible. We on one hand, we try and ban people from drilling. We have the EPA now with a set of regulations prohibiting the building of any coal-fired power plant. I mean, we literally have an Alice in Wonderland energy policy where every energy source that is affordable, this president wants to deny or prohibit. And every energy source that the Americans have rejected because they're too expensive or don't really work, this president wants to take more taxpayer dollars and throw them at those industries. It is 180 degrees out of step with the American reality. And I'm hopeful this next presidential election will get someone who understands markets and freedom and how innovation will keep American energy prices low.
Well, from your lips to God's ear, Congressman. That's all I can say about that. Oh, my. Now, you were first in your class at the United States Military Academy, and you majored in mechanical engineering, as I understand it.
That's true. I am a mechanical engineer with an undergraduate degree. You might well not want to use a piece of equipment I built. It's been an awful long time.
Well, and you know, I think it's really fine that you're devoting your talents to the service of your country in this way, because if you were first in your class in mechanical engineering at West Point and were an editor of the Harvard Law Review, you could be making a fortune as a patent lawyer, in my view.
I am committed to making sure that my son, who's 21 years old, and all the folks in that generation get to have the same blessings that America has afforded me. And I was working in the private sector until, I guess it's now 16 months ago, but truly became frightened that we were spending money at a rate that was completely unsustainable and immoral. So I decided to try and do my best to be part of getting the country headed back in the right direction.
Yeah, well, it's not only is the spending of the money unsustainable, I think just the payment of the interest on $15 or $16 trillion is unsustainable. How does the math work out on that?
The math is not good. We're talking this year, 2012 and 2013's next fiscal year, we'll spend hundreds of billions of dollars in interest alone on the debt. And even more concerning is today we have relatively low borrowing rates because the Federal Reserve has continued to pump money into the economy, so Treasury bills have very low interest rates. If they return to a more normal rate, the cost of borrowing for America returns to a more normal level, that interest will double. And this is the kind of thing that it puts nations at real risk. You see what's happening in Europe. It presents an enormous risk to America's capacity to continue to grow at a rate and dig us back out of this hole. We don't have a lot of time to solve this set of problems, and frankly, that's why I decided to get after this and come here and work really hard to try and figure out a path that gets us back to something that we can sustain. It has been so disheartening to watch a president present two budgets now in my time, none of which had any less than $1 trillion in deficits in any year covered by the budget. It's not serious, and America deserves much better than that.
Well, not only do we deserve better than that, we'd better get it, or we're going to go under. You know, when you go around your district and you have your town hall meetings and things like that, and you speak to your constituents, I mean, do they understand the mess we're in, or they just have some vague feeling of unease or something? I mean, do they realize what you and I are talking about here?
Many of them do. Many of them do understand it. They recognize, right, $1 trillion is something that is difficult to get your head around. There's no doubt about that. But when you break it down, when you start talking to high school classes and talking to them about the fact that it's $50,000 per student who's got debt on their head, they can get their head around that, and they realize the magnitude and the seriousness of the challenge we have.
Now, one reads op-ed pieces and things of that sort that says that we are rapidly becoming a country whose inhabitants believe that they are owed a living, or whatever you want to call it, by society, by the government. It's not up to them to work hard to prosper and to succeed. It's up to them to look to the government with their hand out. How prevalent is that feeling amongst the constituents with whom you're familiar?
I come from South Central Kansas. We just suffered a terrible weekend of bad weather and tornadoes. We had lots of destruction. And I think it kind of highlights the place, right? It's a place where people just want the government to get out of the way. They want to largely be left alone, certainly from the federal government. And they're willing to go do the right thing, to work hard, to take care of their own families. They don't want to be dependents. They want to be autonomous beings, responsible for themselves. So when I go back to Kansas, what I mostly hear is, Mike, just get the federal government to leave us alone, and we'll be just fine.
Boy, I certainly hope that the majority of our people feel that way, because I think the other party's entire thrust for this presidential election is going to be that, vote for us, we will take care of you.
No, that's right. It is a platform built on a deep notion of envy. If someone has something, it must have surely been taken from someone else. It is not good for the soul. It is terrible for the economy, and won't do the things we all know need to be done to get folks back to work so that they can, in fact, take care of themselves and not be dependent on the federal government.
Thank you, folks. I'm speaking with Congressman Mike Pompeo from the 4th Congressional District of the great state of Kansas, and we will both be right back after these words.
People want jobs. If they want bigger checks, they can go vote for him. If they want jobs and a bright future and an opportunity, they can vote for me.
This is the G. Gordon Liddy Show.
Can't get enough of the G-Man? Follow him on Twitter.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in mid-conversation with Congressman Mike Pompeo, who is the United States Representative for the 4th Congressional District of Kansas. And, Congressman, as of the 1st of next year, the American people are going to be slammed with a tremendous cumulative tax rise. Could you lay that out for them, please?
I'd be happy to. It's really, truly tax-mageddon, as they have phrased it. So every single tax rate in the federal code will go up. So every family's tax rates, federal income tax rates will go up. The tax rates for dividends, so seniors who often rely on dividends from stocks that they own, will go up more than 50% in most cases. Capital gains, if you sell an asset, will go from today being taxed at ordinary income rates to well over 40% when you add in the brand new Obamacare tax that goes into effect January 1st. And the payroll tax goes back up. It goes from 4% and change to a little over 6%. Every single federal tax rate goes up, including the estate tax. The Democrats are going to fight hard to do that. They believe that America is taxed too little. And we know what that means for growth. It means folks won't invest in America. Companies won't come here and create the next great set of jobs. And we'll have higher unemployment, and it won't add any revenue for the federal government. It is a real risk and something that we're hard at work on, even though it remains many months out.
Well, now, Congressman, does that include the tax that is buried in the middle of Obamacare when you sell your house?
It does, yes, sir. There's a 3.8% tax on the gains from the sale of a home.
Boy, I don't think people saw that coming.
They told us we wouldn't know what was in it until we read it, and that is the one thing that I have heard them say that has turned out to be really true.
Oh, my. Well, Congressman, I know you're a very busy man, and you've already given us a lot of time. We're very grateful. We want to thank you for your hard work up there on the Hill, and I hope we can look forward to visiting with you again in the future.
I would welcome that. Thank you very much, sir. You all have a great day.
Thank you, sir. That's Congressman Mike Pompeo, ladies and gentlemen, 4th Congressional District of the great state of Kansas.